Hi, I'm Sylvia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm speaking about the sixth house in your birth chart. Now, you probably know that the sixth house rules over work, your workplace, things like your health or illnesses, but also it rules over things like your daily habits or daily activities or daily routines, and even it rules over your daily responsibilities, things that we do every day, things that we repeat doing every day. But of course, there is so much more to speak about the sixth house. Now, the sixth house, like I mentioned before, rules over health and everything that is related to health. Like, for example, it gives information about your nutrition, your diet, how you can improve your health, for example. But it also rules over things like doctors, nurses, medication, everything that is related and connected to the industry of medicine, basically. And it also rules over pets and small animals. So you can also find information about your pets, for example, in your sixth house, or just by looking at your sixth house lord. Now, I know that a lot of astrologers say that people who have planets in the sixth house are workaholic and they like to be in service of other people. And I think most of the times this is true, unless they have a planet like Uranus or Neptune in the sixth house. So this is when things can change a bit. And I will speak about both Uranus and Neptune in the sixth house a bit later. But I want to focus on people who have planets in the sixth house. And like I said before, they can like or they enjoy or they feel the need to be in service of other people. And let me tell you something, these are the type of people who do so much. They do so much for the other, for their families, for their husband, wife, friends. Like, they're always there for you. You can always count on them. But I think that many times this is because they have earlier in their life, or even in past lives, they have been made to believe that they can only be appreciated or liked by others only if they do things for other people. Now, the sixth house, alongside with the eighth house and the 12th house, are the more difficult houses. I'm not going to lie. And having planets in one of these houses can bring some challenges. And you know, the sixth house is the natural house of Virgo. And what is Virgo? Virgo is about analyzing things, criticizing things, being perfect, or expecting perfection, being very self-critical or even critical of others, and being sometimes like the more negative shadow of Virgo is that you can be very harsh on yourself, and you can also tend to worry a lot, always think about the worst case scenario. So if someone has planets in the sixth house, especially personal planets, then it is very possible that these people are the ones who can worry a lot as well, and they tend to overthink things a lot and always even doubt themselves. And let's take, for example, Venus in the sixth house. And let's say you're a woman who has Venus in the sixth house. Now, you probably know Venus is the planet of love. it rules over your self-worth, how you attract love. And if you're a woman with Venus in the sixth house, then most probably you're the kind of person or the woman who might doubt your attractiveness. You might feel that you're not attractive enough or you're not beautiful enough. And this is because you tend to expect perfection from yourself. So if from your point of view you don't look perfect, then you don't feel all right. You don't feel worthy of being loved, or you might doubt yourself that you might find someone who would like you for who you truly are. So and generally speaking, I think women who have Venus in the sixth house can also try their best to look good as much as possible. And this is because, like I said, they can be very self-critical, they can be very hard on themselves, and they want to be perfect actually. And they think, like, they have this belief that they can only be liked or loved if they are perfect. So another, for example, let's take Mercury in the sixth house. Now, if you have Mercury in the sixth house, first of all, it means that you tend to overthink a lot. It's like your mind is always on steroids. You always analyze things. You always pay attention to even the slightest details. And you can also tend to worry a lot, to stress a lot. And of course, you always focus, and not only if you have Mercury in the sixth house, but generally speaking, if you have planets in the sixth house, you tend to always focus on the negative and always expect things to turn out somehow in a negative way. And because you can be so absorbed by negative things and overthinking things and worrying too much, you can also at some point deal with some for example, with some problems like mental health issues, like depression, anxiety, insomnia as well. And this is because, like I said before, you are so consumed and absorbed by your negative thoughts. Like, you might think that everything might go bad. And having Mercury here can also mean that you tend to analyze everything and focus on the negative to the point where you can become basically your own worst enemy. Like I said before, having planets in the sixth house can mean that you can experience some challenges in your life. And this might mean as well that sometimes you are your own worst enemy, and this is because, like I said, you are a perfectionist and you tend to worry a lot. But sometimes these things happen because you might have experienced some negative things in your life. For example, if, let's say, you have the ruler of your fourth house, the fourth house rules over your family and your parents. So let's say you have the ruler of your fourth house in the sixth house. This might mean that your parents or one of your parents or your family have been very critical of you, or they expected perfection from you. They never appreciated when you have done something well, or when you have done something right. They always focused on the negative, and they were always so critical of you. And now, during this time, when you're an adult, basically what happens is that you have internalized that criticism, and you are very critical of yourself, and you expect perfection from yourself, and you are very hard on yourself as well, like I said before. So basically, this can be a challenge for you to see your true potential and your true worth. I also think that's worth mentioning the fact that if you have planets in the sixth house, you can also have developed over time, maybe in this lifetime or in previous lifetimes, you have developed a sense of being inferior or being less than others. So I think that sometimes we can feel this constant need of being at service to other people, because we might think that this is the only way that we can gain, let's say, some value, or this is the only way that other people will accept us or will like us. But what you really have to understand is that you put yourself below others, and this is why um, sometimes you might not achieve things that you want in your life because you tend to doubt yourself a lot. And I really think that the sixth house, yes, indeed, it means doubting yourself a lot. And you see, the sixth house, like I said before, it rules over health and illnesses, but most of the times these illnesses that you have can be a direct result of the stress that you put yourself through, or worrying too much, or doing too much for other people, being overly responsible for other people, and being or doing too many things for other people to the point where you can actually sacrifice yourself. And the sixth house 12th house axis is also known as the axis of sacrifice. So many times we can actually put ourselves through so much just for the sake of other people, just for the sake of being liked and accepted by other people. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't really realize, because you might feel that you can be worthy, for example, only if you are productive in some way, shape, or form. And I think that many times people who have planets in the sixth house, they also need to learn how to relax a bit more. And I think that many times this is not really spoken about, to be honest. And now let's speak about Uranus in the sixth house and Neptune in the sixth house, because I think they manifest, or they work out, or they play out a bit differently than the rest of the planets in the sixth house. Now, if you have Uranus in the sixth house, then most probably you hate routines. You have quite a hectic or quite a chaotic lifestyle day by day, and I'm absolutely sure that you don't like having a strict routine or just a routine, because you just want to live in the moment without being forced of doing something that you don't feel like doing at a particular time. So this can be sometimes a bit challenging, because, for example, if you want to find a job, especially a 9 to 5 job, you might feel like that's not for you. And Uranus in the sixth house can also bring a lot of instability when it comes to your jobs. You can change jobs quite quickly. And in order for you to find the job that could suit you, you will definitely need a job that's not boring, it's not repetitive, the kind of a job that stimulates your mind and your curiosity a lot, and it can be quite, let's say, a bit unpredictable. But if you, or if, for example, let's say, I don't know, you just you work as a cashier, that's definitely not going to be the type of job that you like, because it can be so boring, so repetitive, and you just might lose interest quite quickly. And I also think that when people have Uranus in the sixth house, can also mean that they work better when they are alone, just by themselves. And this is why many times I think that the best thing for people who have Uranus in the sixth house, and even people who have Uranus in the 10th house, is to work for yourself, to be your own manager, your own boss. And this is because it's very possible that you might not like to be told what to do. And it's very possible that you might have some conflicts or arguments with your manager or your superiors. And this is because, like I said before, you just want to be free. You just want to have more independence. Now, if you have Neptune in the sixth house, then most probably, again, you're not a very organized person in your day-to-day life. And working in a place where you need to be very organized or very focused, it's not really your type. For example, if you have Neptune in the sixth house and you become an accountant, let's say, oh, that's going to be quite challenging, because you have to be very precise. When you're an accountant, you know, you work with numbers, and I think that Neptune in the sixth house sometimes can also mean making mistakes or errors at your workplace. So if you're, for example, an accountant, you might not pay attention, or you just cannot focus too much on those numbers. So it's very easy for you to make mistakes. So what would suit you? Definitely something that is more creative. For example, something like arts, and creative work in general, that I think that would suit you better, to be honest. And generally speaking, in your day-to-day life and day-to-day routines, again, you are not really the kind of person who is very organized, or who has, or who wants to have a very strict, disciplined routine. That's definitely not you. And generally speaking, discipline for people who have Uranus or Neptune in the sixth house is not really their thing, to be honest. And having Neptune in the sixth house can also mean that you somehow might want to escape your day-to-day life. So this can sometimes also mean that you might, for example, uh, take all kinds of, or different kinds of substances that will help you to run away from your daily responsibilities or daily activities. I want to thank you very much for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye.